just washed my car. So, relax. I guess this is not an observation video, because if it was, I would pretend that you're not here. But you are here. So, relax. 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 I've got a sponge too. I have to say, I am really enjoying these first several months of retirement. Still debating if I'm gonna go back to work part-time. As you'll see in some episodes coming up, I've learned some real, valuable, interesting things that are making a very large impact on making me feel really comfortable about not going back to work. I know, can you believe it? So we'll see. Of course, I don't know when I'm dropping this episode. I just create a bunch of stuff, and then I hope it works out. So that's how we roll around here on ASMR Money Mentor. You can see it's nice and bright out. It is about 10:30. Obviously AM. I'm gonna do lunch here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to a little bit of a challenge I'm having right now. I'm just gonna ramble about it. And my challenge is my operating budget for 2025 is not gonna work. Not gonna work. Not going to work. Not going to work. I forgot to set the exposure on my camera. Whatever. I also think I need to get a new iPhone. You're watching me on my iPhone that I bought in 2019. Yeah. 6 years. And did you guys hear that iPhone prices and things made in China are gonna go through the roof? So some friends of mine have been trying to convince me to get rid of my iPhone and buy a new one. But I'm so frugal, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can do that right now. Of course I could, I just don't know if I want to. So, anyway, I've got my spreadsheet open and I thought I would just talk to you about my thoughts. I had no idea I was going to hit record. Sometimes I just feel like talking to you and sharing my thoughts. So again, I hope you find it relaxing. Just sit back, grab a beverage if you want to. I don't have one. But my problem is my budget for 2025, remember, was $24,930. $24,930. But because I went on that expensive vacation, the cruise, in February, that depleted a lot of my fun and other money, right? So, as the weeks go on, I pay myself $155 a week for food, gas, and fun. Well, I haven't been driving anywhere. I'm going to be dropping a video soon if I have not done so already. And I talk about that. I love walking everywhere, as you guys know. Every week that goes by that I don't drive my car, I feel so powerful. It's a weird thing. Anyway, I guess I'm very lucky that I can ride my bike and walk to places. But where was I going with that? guess I should have prepared a little better. My hat is kind of weird. Yeah, because of the expensive vacation, that $155 per week goes to food, not much gas, obviously, and fun. I've been pretty frugal. I haven't been doing a whole lot of extracurricular activities that cost money lately. Probably because I feel like I spent so much in February. I know I need to loosen up a little bit. I'm wealthy, aren't I? That's what they say. But what I'm going to talk through right now, and by me talking about it to you, is going to help me figure it out. I'm going to bring in money into my budget. And what I mean by that is, remember, I've got the in numbers and the out numbers. I have to figure out what would I be most comfortable with bringing into my budget to get me through the next 7 months of the year, or whatever it is. 8 months, I guess. Because when I look at my other tab, I have a fun breakdown tab. The 720 is, at the time that I'm recording this, I have 36 weeks left in the year because I'll be pulling money down out of the buckets on Friday, February 25. But you probably won't see this till later. I don't know. But what I do is I take 2 line items from the previous tab, fun and, well, all of the fun numbers, remember. And right now, at this point in the year, I've got 720 because I take 20 a week for fun. That's part of the 155. And the gas. And the food. And then I pull money from buckets if I have to, but right now I only have $531 left in the 2 numbers that make up how much I can spend for fun. So 720 and 531, because remember I had pads of line items for fun. So the 531, however, is already spent for my air conditioner monthly, $15 a month, and then my LA Fitness for the gym of about $387. So I really only have $9 out of that $531 that I can spend. So that means that I only have like $20 a week to spend at the end of the year, and that's ridiculous, right? Because I'm already thinking of things I want to do, like I mentioned the iPhone. So what I do next is then I go to Ally Bank. Remember I told you about the buckets? I've got different buckets. It's easy to visualize your money when you put it into buckets, either in the Excel document or in the buckets on Ally Bank or any other financial institution that you may be using. For example, let me go ahead and bring it up here just a minute. Relax. Exit full screen. Bring this down. Open up a new. Yeah, I'm still connected to the internet, which is good, through my phone, my hotspot. So I need to bring up oh shoot. Control, new window. And I'm going to bring up Ally Bank. Ally Bank, Ally Bank, Ally Bank. I should have got water before I started. Like I said, I just washed my car. Okay, it's pulling up. Are you still awake? Are you still awake? Are you still awake? Are you still awake? So my savings account right now has $20 earning 3.6%. But then what I did, as you will recall, I created buckets. So I'm going to look at my buckets, and this is how you visualize your money by using the spreadsheet and the bucket. So in my core savings bucket, that's a bucket you can't delete, I noticed on Ally Bank. $3,800. And then I have buckets for holds 2025 for my July trip and a special assessment that we may have of $500, I think. So I put $1,300 there, $800 and $500. $800 for the trip, in July to Ohio. My all-time YouTube income, you would maybe be surprised to know, is only $1,072. So I wanted to put that in a separate bucket. I haven't spent it yet. I may use that on a cell phone. Then I have spent on my Wells Fargo 0% credit card, right? Because I have to pay that off next year, but it's $57.56. Then I have a bucket for holding for my yearly expenses. I have not paid one yearly expense yet. Those start in July. That'll be visible. And then my homeowner's insurance, my flood policy, my car insurance. That might be it, I don't know. Then I've got a whole bucket for my monthly expenses, which includes things like my electric bill, my dental insurance, etc. Why does that number seem so large? Hold on. I'm sure it's right. It's just sometimes, you forget what buckets you create on your Excel document and everything. Where is that other spreadsheet? Here it is. So, can you believe I can't even remember my own monthly expenses? What's up with that? Of course, duh. My condo association fees, $574. My electric and dental, yeah. So that number that I just shared with you a minute ago, if I go back to my other document, or go to my Ally Bank, the monthly hold for the rest of the year for monthlies is $5,984. And then the money I have left remaining in the year for food, gas, and fun is $6,200. So I love it. In other words, I look at these buckets and I say, Evan, you cannot possibly use any of the money that's already on hold or reserved for these expenses, but it gives you an idea then how much you have left over. And when I was working, it was a little bit different because I balanced to my paychecks. Now I'm not balancing to anything really. I'm just balancing to what I feel like I should spend for the year. And I knew when I created my budget for 2025, I underestimated how much money I was going to be really paying myself. And the wild card is fun and other. I'll be fine with all these other buckets. So, what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add up my core savings and my all-time YouTube income, because that's money that is really open to buy. Remember, I used that term, open to buy, meaning I can buy whatever I want with that money. Or I can keep it for the next year. I don't have to spend it, obviously, but I need to get into the mindset of spending. I know. So, 1072 plus 3838. I've got nearly $5,000, $4,910. that I can do with whatever I want. That's a big chunk of change, so why am I worried? Why did I start this video? Are you asleep? Are you awake? No, but really what I'm gonna do is, maybe not like right at this moment, but I have plenty of time to think about this. And this is what I hope is helping you guys to figure out your own money too, when you're visualizing on paper first, and then you execute. So, Evan, right now you've got nearly $5,000 of extra money. Now remember, for 2026, I plan on using short-term reserves. And money that I sell from my taxable account to qualify for ACA, the Affordable Care Act. More on that in another video, because I don't want to confuse you. And I also want to give you the revelation, if I have not done so already, about something that I totally missed in my favor. But maybe I should say to myself, spend this $49.10 in 2025. Quit being a miser. Quit being so cheap. Live a little. Because the CD I have coming open in July, remember I'm going to do another 6-month CD. That $30,000 will open up in January for 2026. Even though I replenish it with money I sell from the taxable account, I don't have to sell shares in the taxable account to qualify for ACA until the end of 2026. That is huge. I'll ramble about that a little bit later. The light bulb went off with me, because if the market is down, I'm not going to sell the shares. Only when I do my taxes at the end of 2026 would I have to have sold those shares in 2026. Brilliant, right? I can either dollar cost average and do it monthly and take money out if the market is up. Or if I think it's going down, there's different schools of thought on that. But more on that later. In other words, what I'm saying is that I have liquidity to pay for expenses, even if I'm going to replenish it with money later. So, $30,000 should be more than enough for 2026. In other words, that CD that's going to be coming open in January 2026. So I'm building a case for the fact that I can spend this $4,900. I don't need to save it, or hold it, I should say, for 2026. So I probably will get a new iPhone by the end of the year. So if I have $4,910, then I start visualizing, right? And like I said, I'll probably create another bucket in Alley and put it there to remind me that's what I intended on using it for. So $4,910 minus an iPhone, at least $1,000, right? I was Googling. I've got an iPhone XR from 2019. I think the 16 is out now, and the 17 comes out in September. So I may wait, but prices are going to go up, right? But see, sometimes you just have to say to yourself, relax. Don't be pressured sometimes into purchases because you think something in the future may happen. But let's say by the end of the year, if I did buy that now, I'm down to $39.10. So what would I be comfortable with? Actually, I've got to do two things. Again, not that I'm going to click the buttons right now, but the two things are, over the next week or two, well, actually, today, I'm going to bring some of this money into my Excel document, because those two buckets, remember those line items, I should say, on my Excel document for fun, I have to log that I went to the grocery store and I overspent. So that's where I usually pull from that other bucket that now has no money in it. So I have to bump up the in column. I think I'm going to bring in let's do it this way. Let me take away some big ticket items and then see. iPhone is already out. My vacation is already out. Let's just take away another $1,500 for things that might come up. That leaves $2,410. Did I do that right? Let's just say I've got 5,000 minus 1,000. Minus, what did I say? 1,500. 1,500. 1,500. 1,500. I probably said 2,500. I don't know. Anyway, I still have 2,500 left. I'm gonna bring $1,000 into my Excel document. On the in column, right? So now this is what I used to do all the time when I was working. As the year goes on, you reevaluate your budget. However, what's different is that when I was working, I would only bump up the income if I had extra income. And that usually came in the form of my bonus that I underestimated. My bonus was always more than I estimated, and that was a good thing. But now remember, expenses in retirement are, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not really a thing, are they? They're what I'm choosing to spend above and beyond what I may have to spend. That may make no sense. I'm smarter with my other hat. Have you guys noticed? Yeah, I'm a lot smarter with my other. And when the lights are down, oh my God, what's that? I wonder if that happens at the gym. I probably look like a fool. Anyway, I'm going to bring in 1,000. So yeah, in retirement, above and beyond what I have to have for critical expenses, it's a wild card. It's what I'm choosing to pay myself based on the fact that I have so much money, basically, and so many options. And options is where you want to position yourself for as you get older, and as you either start thinking about early retirement or maybe retiring when Social Security kicks in, etc. It's a really good place to be. So why don't I go ahead and do that right now? I've got my Excel document. Because this video is going on 24 minutes or so. Are you awake? Are you asleep? Are you awake? I have to come up with better words. Better words that give tingles. Okay, so remember my budget, $24,930. So that's going to go to $25,930. So I have to do a couple of things. The in column, I need to add 1,000. So I'm going to do that right now. Oh wait, let me back up a little bit. I already had a number at the bottom. Why do I have that $66 there? Oh, because I put in, that's what prompted this discussion today, is that I put in the number for I just went to the grocery store. And I've got $66 at the bottom of my spreadsheet that I have to pull from somewhere. And that's when I determined I can't pull it from anywhere. Following me? Okay, good. So really, okay, let me go ahead and put in 1,000. Again, I was confused because it didn't say 1,000 at the bottom, it said 9 something. Okay, here we go, I'm just adding in 1,000. Congratulations, I just got more money. But at the bottom it says $934 because I had a $66 amount of money that I had to pull from my out money, but I didn't know where to pull it from. Well, now it's going to come from here. So, and then I make a note on the right. I'm going to say contingency budget money, contingency budget, contingency budget, 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 contingency budget money. Now I've got to take that $934 and put it somewhere in all of those columns, right? Remember, go watch my Build a Budget episode. It's in the playlist, I think. Now, a lot of times what I do is I put the $934 in one cell, and then over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks I start figuring out like what months I should put it in. But right now, to balance to zero, I'm just going to put $934 in my fun. My fun 3 line item. Fun 2 was depleted by my Freedom Retirement Cruise to Mexico. So now I'm putting $1,000 back in. Well, 934. So, Evan, where shall you put it? I'm going to put it, remember I've got 531 in Fund 3, but then when I go to my other tab, I know it's already spent for the gym and other stuff. So I'm going to add it right there because when you put it in different cells, you can always see that money, right? It's kind of cool. So I'm going to add it 930 something. I should have looked. 934 was it? Yeah, 934. Here we go. Why didn't that work? There we go, 934. Now that line item for Fund 3 is $14.65. And if I scroll to the bottom, it says 0. So now I'm balanced to a total of $25,930 as my total money for 2025. Now when I go to, now that number's $14.65, so I go to my other fund breakdown and I put $14.65. Which now means I can put $934 in my out. So yeah, I just break this down into different places on my spreadsheets. You can develop your own system, which you probably have a system. So visually though, I'm gonna keep it at $934. I could have added to the $9 that I have right there, but no, I'm gonna just keep it as $934. And I'm gonna put a note to the right that says open to buy. Contingency money in. Okay, got it. I'm not going to break it down right now to anything other than that. So now I do. You know what? I am going to do it right now. I said I wasn't going to, but I am. If you're still awake, I'm going to go back to Ally Bank. It says I logged out. Log back in. I'm going to go back into my savings account. You always should have visual reminders of buckets of money. Otherwise, you'll just go throughout the year not knowing where your money's going. You don't want that. You want to tell your money where to go in advance. So the money is still in the savings account. What I'm doing now is creating a bucket. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 current buckets. Remember, core savings, the holds, the all-time YouTube income, etc. I'm going to leave the all-time YouTube income bucket intact because I like to see how much I'm making there, and that could be spent at a later time. So what I'm going to do is create a bucket that says hold. Yeah, I put the first word as hold, H-O-L-D. And this one is going to say hold for extra fun. Okay, add another bucket. It's interesting when you open up buckets, it says, why are you saving this? But I've already saved it. I use buckets differently than most people, I would assume. Although if you're building wealth and saving money, it's very useful for that as well, but I've already saved the money. I have no other income except for YouTube income. I'm going to say make my own bucket. I'm going to put H-O-L-D in capitals. Space. Contingency. Oops. Contingency. Contingency 2025. Money. That works for me. Done. Now, then you go back to your buckets. And, oh shoot, I did it wrong. I always forget to hit save. Let me do that again. I'm so thirsty. I forgot my water. Because I didn't know I was going to create this video right now. Hold. See, 2025 money. So see, it's fun because now you're saying, wow, I get to spend this money. Okay, click done. And then click done. Okay, now you have to click 2 dones. So now there it is. So I've got core savings, and now I have hold contingency 2025. So what I need to do is move from my core savings of 3838 to my hold contingency 2020 bucket that I just created. So you click the distribute button. Select the bucket from core savings to hold contingency. And what was the number? Who remembers? $1,000, right? Click submit. And now that brings my core savings down to 2838. And I have my contingency right there. I've already put it in Excel. I'll start spending. And I don't think it's going to be anything substantial. It's going to be going to dinners. A lot of times I overspend on my food budget because I always try to be frugal with the food, but it just doesn't work out. But yeah, I mean, it's just going to be for life stuff, right? There was no way I could have gotten to the end of the year with $20 per week for fun and other. So let's see how this goes. I may produce another video later in the year and let you know if I have to spend more than that 1,000. If so, it'll come from the 2838 because, as I mentioned earlier, I could really get to the end of the year and deplete this entire account because 30,000 is going to come in from that other CD. And as I mentioned before, it's so interesting to me. I'll be using that money for expenses, but it may be replenished for when I sell shares in 2026 from the taxable account in order to qualify for the Affordable Care Act. I'll tell you more about that a little bit later. So, I think that's going to wrap up this video. We're going on 35 minutes or so. I hope that you're relaxed Maybe you're asleep. Maybe the phone is on your nightstand. Maybe you're waking up and you're like, is he still rambling? Anyway, thanks for joining, and I'll see you guys next time. Should I do this? I normally do that in the other videos. Anyway.